In 1986, a 23-year-old chiropractor named Dr. Joe Dispenza was hit by a truck going 55 miles per hour during a triathlon in Palm Springs. Or surgeons telling him the same thing, that surgery was his only option. And even then, he'd probably never walk again. For the next 10 weeks, he spent 2 hours every single day lying still, doing one thing, rebuilding his spine in his mind, visualizing it so specifically, so completely, that his brain began firing as if it was actually happening. At 10 and a half weeks, he stood up. At 12 weeks, he was back seeing patients. He went on to become one of the world's leading researchers on the mind-body connection. And the thing he kept finding in his own recovery and in thousands of case studies since was the same principle at work every time. The body cannot heal into a future the mind hasn't already accepted as real. That's not just true for physical healing, it's true for everything. Your relationships, your income, the version of your life you keep reaching for and somehow not quite landing. I'm a hypnotherapist, and in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why your self-image has been quietly overriding everything you've tried and the specific process for changing it at the level that really matters. You cannot outperform your self-image. You can want something consciously with everything that you have. You can set the goal, make the plan, take the action, and your subconscious will quietly, systematically find every reason it won't work. Not because it's against you, but because it's protecting the identity it already has on file. Think of it like an operating system. Your habits, your decisions, your income, your relationships, those are the apps running on top. But the operating system underneath determines what's even possible. And you cannot outwork the operating system. You can push on the surface forever, and the ceiling doesn't move. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it your personality, which creates your personal reality. How you think, how you act, how you feel, that is your personality. And your personality is just your identity made visible. Changing the identity, everything downstream changes within that, leaving it untouched, and nothing really is going to stick. At least not permanently. I had a client genuinely talented, doing everything right on paper, who kept hitting the same ceiling financially no matter what she changed externally. New strategy, new offer, new coach, same exact result. When we went deeper in our sessions, what we found wasn't a skill gap. It wasn't something else she needed to know or learn. It was an identity that she had decided very early on that being fully seen wasn't safe. So every time she got close to real growth, she'd pull back even subconsciously. And this happens at a very deep level, the operating system doing exactly what it was programmed to do. And here's the part that most people skip entirely, because once you understand why that file was written in the first place, everything changes. By age 35, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza's research, about 95% of who you are is just a set of memorized programs. Automatic thoughts, habitual emotional responses, behaviors so deeply grooved, you don't even notice you're running them. And most of these programs were written in childhood when your brain was operating primarily in theta state, essentially a hypnotic state. You weren't choosing what to believe. You were just downloading, taking in everything around you and deciding what was normal, what was safe, and what was possible for someone like you, which means the ceiling you kept hitting probably isn't yours at all. It took me years to realize that the way that I moved through the world, always slightly braced, always slightly on guard, wasn't my true, authentic personality. It was a response pattern I built a long time ago. I'd stopped seeing it as a choice. The moment that changed things wasn't finding a better strategy. It was realizing the story I was living inside me wasn't mine and that I was allowed to put it down. But knowing that in and of itself consciously isn't enough because the nervous system doesn't change through insight alone, it changes through experience. And that's exactly what I'm going to walk you through right now. And if you want more content like this, hit subscribe. I have new videos out like this every Wednesday. With Dispenza's research, along with decades of mental rehearsal studies, originally done with athletes, proved that the brain activates identical neural pathways, whether you're doing something physically or vividly imagining it. The same muscles fire, the same emotional centers activate, the same neural connections strengthen. A thought felt deeply enough in the body is neurologically indistinguishable from a real experience. That's how Dr. Joe Dispenza healed his spine, but by making his nervous system so familiar with being healed that it had no choice but to organize around that reality. You can use the exact same mechanism to rebuild your self-image. Now, step one is to find the program that's actually running in the background, not the one you wish was running, the one that's driving your patterns right now. Look at what it keeps repeating. That is your current identity speaking. But step two is give your nervous system a new felt experience, closing your eyes and finding one specific moment, a moment from the version of your life you're stepping into. Where are you? What can you feel within your body? What's the expression on your face? Really feeling that and staying there until it starts feeling less like imagination and more like a memory. Doing this every single morning or evening as our body is a state of hypnosis right when we wake up and right before we go to sleep. But remember to do this repeatedly. Now, step three is stop casting votes for the old identity. And what this means is every time you retell the story of why this probably won't work for you, every time you replay the evidence, whether verbally or within your mind, that you're not ready, that you're not the type of person who gets to have that, you are reinforcing the program consciously and subconsciously. You're not processing it, you're rehearsing it. And what that means is withdrawing your attention, letting it get quiet from lack of use. Dr. Joe Dispenza says it simply, your personality creates your personal reality. And your personality is just the sum of what your nervous system has practiced feeling. So the version of you that already has what you're reaching for, the confidence, the ease, the life that you desire, that version doesn't have to be earned before it becomes real. It just has to become familiar first. So really allowing yourself to tap into all of those good feelings. And once your nervous system stops treating the newness as a threat, it stops blocking it. The autopilot recalibrates and things begin to feel familiar to you in the best way possible. Reality is a mirror. It doesn't give you what you want. It gives you you. And the moment you change who and what you are at the identity level, what you reflect back changes too. What I've watched happen with people who do this work isn't that life suddenly becomes easy. It's really that they stop being the obstacle, being in their own way. The self-sabotage begins to quiet a bit and the patterns lose their grip. They start showing up as themselves, not the version they learned to perform all of these years, but the actual them underneath all of it. And from there, everything gets easier. Not because circumstances changed first, because they did. Dispenza discovered from a broken spine because he refused to let his nervous system settle into a future of paralysis. He made wholeness so familiar, his body had to follow. And if you can see this pattern in your own life, then you're at the point where awareness isn't the problem anymore. It's the programming underneath it. And that's exactly what I help people change. There's a link below to book a call. We'll get clear on what's been running in the background and what it would take to finally shift it. So you're not just understanding it, but you're actually getting out of it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday.